The Zap diet seems to be teeter-tottering. I went month 7, 151.2 to month 8, 159.2. So I'm thinking that this month is probably going to end up being a low number. 53.3.
I just got back from my vision quest yesterday, which took a really surprisingly gnarly toll on my body. And I guess it's a good thing I came back because it started raining last night, and I would have been out there in the rain with no tent or anything, just getting soaking wet, and it's still raining. So I might be a little zoned out again this month during my reflections. I guess it's kind of amazing being 9 months down, 3/4 of a year. That's just such a huge turning point. I'm under 100 days, so now I'm counting off double digits, which is kind of crazy for me in my journal. I also feel that for the first time since I started, I'm pretty much guaranteed to finish. I don't see much that's going to stop me besides some unforeseen cataclysmic injury, which is always a possibility. But I'm not going to cave at this point due to psychosis or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. I'm so close that it's not a possibility in my mind. But that also kind of it changes everything, because suddenly it's not as challenging. It's only 3 months, and without that like thing to like push against to keep me going, I find myself kind of like lapsing into doldrums where it almost seems pointless because it's easy at this point. I mean, it's not easy, but I'm so used to it. It's so easy compared to what I've already been through that it's just kind of like I could coast all the way without really thinking about it much. And so it's difficult for me to force myself to go out and try new things. I don't know, I'm kind of tired of it at this point. I'm really looking forward to some Chinese food. Yeah. Holy shit. Wow. I just saw something over here that popped up while I was on my vision quest. Check this out. There's this elephant ear here. Look at this. It's actually flowering. Isn't that amazing? Never flowered before. So cool. Okay, where was I? I'm having a really hard time keeping my train of thought today. The vision quest was a unique experience. It's amazing because like my brother broke one of his fingers, and so his whole hand was in the cast for 6 weeks. And like a year later, the fingers that weren't even broken won't straighten out. And I feel like that's kind of like what happened to me on the vision quest, was that, you know, if you have like several days where you just don't move your body, like I feel like the human body is built to be constantly moving. When you stop and you're stuck in this really confined space, and I would never do it without flat ground again. Couldn't really like even get up and stretch and stuff. I was on this weird pile of rocks, or I was like sitting in this tree, so it was like my body, I just felt like it was just like getting cramped down and not using it, and like 2 days later, like my back's all stiff and my calves feel like they're just these huge knots, and like everything just, it doesn't want to unwind. It's really amazing. It took some sort of toll on my mind, but that snapped back pretty quick. And that was actually like kind of an interesting, cool experience that I enjoyed. I also realized that, you know, I've in the past equated energy to money and spending money and whatnot. And this experience really made me feel that it takes money to make money, and it takes energy to make energy. I felt like after 3 days, if I didn't have like, you know, my house and my stores to come back to and be able to eat some food and kind of like restart my engine, I would have been in some pretty serious trouble to try and find food at that point, or like go hunt something down. I think pretty much people need to eat every 48 hours would be my assessment. I made it through the first 2 days, and I felt like I could still focus, and I had some sort of like energy, vitality, but after the third day I was just totally sapped, totally drained. I just felt like I was just trudging along, you know. I'd just take 4 steps, and then I'd have to catch my breath, and I'd be all dizzy, and I felt like I was going to throw up, which is kind of weird to feel like you're going to throw up when you haven't eaten for days. I find that a lot of days I go through my day, and at the end of the day I feel like, wow, that was kind of a waste of a day. Like, what did I do? I didn't do anything Zap related, you know. I didn't do anything that was worthy of getting a little video of or whatever, and it just feels like I wasted my time. But then when I look back on it, almost all my days are spent doing something Zap related, it's just become so trivial at this point that I don't even notice what it is, you know? Whether it's like loading my wood box so I can continue to cook my food, or, you know, splitting that wood, or whether it's like wandering around pruning trees that give me food, or, you know, like making fertilizer tea to water the garden, or, you know, just doing my dishes, like cleaning the freaking deer grease out of canning jars in my sink, which is hilarious. My sink's always full of canning jars. I think that's how you can tell if someone's trying to, you know, live self-sufficiently or not. Or, you know, even like doing my laundry in the bathtub and hanging on the line. Like, that doesn't seem to me to be productive, like in a sense that I'm like, you know, experiencing new things and whatnot. But that's the day-to-day life of Zap, and it's difficult to remember that's part of the experience. And really, even on days where I thought I wasn't accomplishing anything, I look back and I live in the dream. I don't know. I think any life that you choose will have mundane tasks in it, and sometimes you just gotta crack nuts all day or boil acorns on the stove all day, and that's just part of living, you know? I'm really starting to appreciate, and I know I'm gonna miss not having to deal with money. As soon as you take money out of your life and you're just living to get food, you know, obviously if you're starving you're gonna be miserable, but if you're like kind of getting by like I am, this huge weight is just like gone, dude. It's just totally out of your life, you know? Like, so much of our stress in our daily living comes from, you know, bills, or trying to make money, or needing a better job, or getting a raise, or, you know, wanting to go out and spend money but not feeling like you have the finances to do that. It's always in the back of your mind, you know? I need to check my credit card statement to make sure someone's not like, you know, like charging stuff on there that's not supposed to be on there. You know, that kind of stuff is just this roar in the back of your subconscious all the time that, like, I don't even think people realize how intense it is until it's just quiet. And that is like such a load off my mind. I can't even, like, it just hit me this month that is something that I will truly miss about Zap, is not having to deal with money, finances, any of that, you know? It's much more rewarding to worry about food, and it's much simpler, and you can really get a grasp on it. Money seems to be kind of like this ethereal thing that's just like hard to like keep track of and keep your eye on. And it's really like an interesting phenomenon. It's amazing how fortunate like my particular demographic, you know, like someone living in America, living in California, middle class, whatever you want to call it, is in that, you know, we can just live so vastly beyond our means. If I was to just use the money that I was making just to buy food and just work enough to buy, like, you know, the staples that I need, I think that my life would be much less stressful and perhaps more rewarding, although you wouldn't have those indulgences that everyone loves so much that people get addicted to. So this whole time I've been relating my weight to 168, which is what I weighed when I started Zap. But that's not really totally accurate in terms of like what I probably would weigh if I was a normal person in everyday society. Generally, before I started, I didn't eat a whole lot of food. You know, food wasn't my thing, although I think will be now. And I'm extremely active, so I don't put on weight, and thus when I started it was kind of unrepresentative. When I lived in Santa Barbara and I was working in a restaurant, eating freaking restaurant food constantly, eating out much more, probably exercising less, I weighed about 178, 179. So that is probably more representative of your average person. If I look at that now, that means that like compared to today, which is not even my lowest weight, I would have weighed more than 20 pounds heavier. So that's the kind of crazy thing that I realized this month, was that Zap is actually more extreme than I had originally thought. Because when I started, I wasn't really the average of my demographic, I wouldn't say. Having lost that much and weighing, you know, just above 150 now, I find that I get cold much easier. It's really weird. I'll be in a car and I'm turning on the heater and people are like, it's not that cold. Or, you know, I'll be going out, like they're grabbing a sweatshirt, I'm grabbing a sweatshirt, putting it on under a jacket. And I think that either, you know, I don't have that insulation to keep me warm, or I don't have that like energy and store inside me so that when it gets cold, my body can just like burn off those extra calories and heat me up. I don't really know what to say. I'm a little freaking shell-shocked right now after my recent outing, but I think I'm gonna rebound, and then I'll be back to being an everyday citizen and not a zombie wannabe. So I suppose that gives us 9 months down and 3 to go. I'm gonna take it down just as soon as I catch my breath. So Allison always gets upset when Howard's not in my monthly reflection videos. There you go, Al. There he is. Hey, what's up? Just chilling.